Hello! Right, here we are on the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria map, part of the new Five Nights at Freddy's DLC that also brings Springtrap. We're gonna go over some of the loops in this map, some of the variations you can get, and yeah. Right, so this map is part of the Withered Isle realm, which is the same map, the same realm that the Granville Theatre map and the Garden of Joy can host. On this map, you're gonna have one very big main building, which is the the bread and butter of this map. Beside that, you got an outside area ranging all the way from there all the way around to that side. You'll notice that this side of main is bigger than the other side. Right, when you come in through the main entrance, you're gonna see a window right here, which is always gonna spawn, and you're gonna see a window right there, which is always gonna spawn. There's a chance for a generator to spawn here, but that doesn't always happen. Now I'm gonna walk over these windows in just a bit. But first, let's check out more of the main building. When you walk on, you'll find the main stage with the 3 animatronics. This generator here is always going to spawn. When you complete it, these animatronics are going to put up a show, which lasts a bit before crashing out. If you come to the right of the entrance, you're going to have the kitchen area, which in my experience is always going to spawn like this. It's got one pallet over here, and that is it. It's got an entrance here, an entrance there, and a window that any projectile killer might be able to hit you through. Now, it looks as if a window is able to spawn there as well, but I've not seen it happen in like 6 hours of playing on this map, so I don't think it can. Across from the kitchen, you've got the arcade, which can spawn in several different ways. Currently, we've got the worst possible setup, and I'll explain why that is in a bit. Basement is going to spawn either here or in shack. Now, as I said, this area has multiple ways it can spawn. It can either have the basement, in which case this railing here is going to be about shoulder height. Alternatively, it can not have the basement here, in which case there's a big Ballpit here, which reaches all the way up to there. Now, the variations on this map are, on this arcade area are, you can either have a pallet right here, which we got, or you can have a window right here, which we didn't have. It's always going to have an exit over here, an exit over here, and an exit over here. To our left, you have the bathrooms, which does not spawn anything. It is just a transition area. You can go outside, or you can go inside. Now, if you come from the outside, be very careful not to run to the right, because there is nothing here. There's never going to be anything here. And if the killer is following you, and you go to the right, you're going to be trapped, and you're going to have to go to the left, in which case you might just get hit by the killer. Across from the bathrooms, there is this pallet, which is always going to spawn, and you have the potential for a pallet to spawn here as well. Looks like we have very bad RNG currently. Right here is a little side room with a jump scare robot. If it hasn't popped out already, it does so when you enter, but once it's there, it's not gonna make any sound anymore. There's a chance for a generator to spawn here as well. And it's always got this exit at the back. Now you've got this little side stage with the Foxy door on top, which connects to this pallet over here. But most importantly, this window over here. Now why that is a good window, I will show in a second. Lastly, you got the storage room, with the animatronics which follow you with their eyes, it's always going to have this ramp up here, this pallet here, and an exit there, there, and over there. Right here is the back side, which is the shorter side, as I said at the beginning. Now, if you go this way, you come to the main stage. You can also access this main stage by this ramp over there. That's the only two ways to get up here. Now, this upstairs area is going to have a pallet right here, or right here. One of the two. And you're also always going to have a window right here as well. Alright. Let's go over how to loop this area. Starting at the main entrance. Assume that you're coming from outside in, and the killer is behind you. Now that's already a problem, because from here, you're not going to make a lot of good loops. Ideally, you get chased from the inside to the out. Say you do get chased from the outside to the in. You have several options. If you run this way, you can jump the window, but the killer can see that you're doing that, and they can just go around and hit you over here. Now there's an obstacle right here, so if you vault this window, and the killer is cutting you off this way, you have no choice but to vault the window again, which is going to result in a medium vault, and it's going to get you hit. The alternative you have is to go right and play this window. But again, the killer can see that you're doing that. Just walk over here and hit you right there. One play you can make is run to the window, fake, run to the window again, fake, run to the window again, until eventually you're forced to jump. Now it might just be that the killer does push you around, in which case you can get the window and make it to the next loop, which is this kitchen pallet over here. You could also enter the building through this side, but this is a very dangerous play, because you have nowhere to run except for over here, and if the killer just takes the main entrance, he cuts you off from everywhere. Next we'll go over this loop over here. This is a very simple but very strong loop. The whole idea is to run this way, jump this window, and then run all the way back around like so, and jump this window again. Now this little stairs, this little drop down, it's not enough to get you a stagger, so you can instantly start running again. Because the killers vault slower than us, they have two different options. They can either, or actually they have three different options. They can either vault after you, which is going to result in you gaining distance. They can walk around, like so, which is going to result in you gaining distance. Or they can try and walk back and cut you off over here. How you're going to counter that last thing is you're going to want to stand around here. You can see if the killer comes all the way to that door. If they do, you can go ahead and vault the window. Now if you stand over here, you can see the killer coming there, and you can decide to run this way instead. If you do see the killer coming there, you can vault. If you see them committing behind you, you can just go all the way back around, and you should be able to see them there in time to turn around. Now say you do mess up, there's always this pallet here, which you can use to either loop this very unsafe area over here, or leave the area and go somewhere else. Say the killer does cut you off by coming this way. you cannot really loop this side, right? Because there is no window here that you can play. There's no window you can play over here. What you could do is say the killer is coming from that way, pushing you up here. You could run this way to the curtains, and then you have two options. Either walk this way to enter the loop again, and this time from the right direction, or you loop this way, turn right around, make the killer confused, and either go this way, go that way, or do whatever. Now they'll often try and anticipate this this loop again. So if you go that way, you might catch them off guard. If somehow you mess up, you might get the killer to drop down on one side at the table, while you are at the other. You have this pallet over here to try and get value from that. Up here, you have the main stage. This area is always going to have this window here, this drop down here, and this drop down here. Ideally, you want to come from this direction. The reason for that is the shortest path here to this window. Now you're almost always gonna want to vault this window if you can. If you are standing here, you can see on the top of the loop if the killer is going that way, or if they're going that way. Now if they're going that way, you're gonna wanna run this direction and connect it to the arcade loop. Careful though, the killer might try and mind game you by walking that direction, in which case you're gonna run over here and they're gonna pop out of here. Do be careful about that. If you jump the window and you see the killer going that direction, you're gonna wanna run over here, all the way here, and make it back to this loop. Right over here. let's go to the arcade room. Now this arcade room varies very heavily on how it spawns. If you're gonna have this pallet over here, then the arcade room isn't really all that strong. What I mean by that is you can run it like this. The killer is following you. Say the killer is over here and you are over here. If you drop the pallet, then the killer has no option but to either break the pallet, in which case you make a lot of distance this way, or they're gonna have to go all the way around this loop in order to catch up. Now, if you do have the window over there, you're gonna always want to run it counterclockwise, and I'll show you why in a second. So to recap, if you have the pallet, run it clockwise. If you have the window, do it counterclockwise. And we got the window. So say in this case you came like this, you're gonna want to run it counterclockwise. Right? So again, you're gonna want to run it counterclockwise. Take a little detour here, and then turn into the vault. If you just run at the vault like this, you're probably not gonna hit the fast vault. Like that. Therefore, you're gonna want to make sure to go to the left a slight bit before jumping the window. Now, if you take the window, the killer has a few different options. Again, you take the window. Now it's the killer's turn to decide what to do. The killer can go to their left, which is your right. In that case, you're gonna want to go all the way around here. This entrance is always gonna spawn, and you can either vault the window again, or you can try, if you're very daring, to loop another round around the Ballpit. Now, if the killer comes through that exit, you're gonna want to walk right over here, and this time you have to go around the Ballpit, otherwise you're not gonna get the fast vault, and you can take the vault again. Like, you can hit this, but the second you turn and do this, the killer might just double back, and they can hit you right over here. So make sure to run one lap around the Ballpit. So we come in through here. Fast vault this window. Go around. Decide either to fast vault that window again, or come this way. window. Back here. The window. Double check. See that the killer is not following us, so they're probably cutting us off around here. Now you can either walk this pallet. So the killer is catching up. We can go over here. Or of course, up here. Now we know that we have enough distance, so we can go back here again. The window again. The killer tries to cut us off one more time, so we go up. And this time, we're gonna drop down right here. We have a pallet right here in case we need it, and if we don't, go up the main stage. To our right, this window's always gonna be here. Continue running. And we are back in the ball pit. Okay, so we vault. Killer pushes us that way. We vault, the killer double backs and comes this way. One lap around the ball pit. We vault again. And now we get to the outside part, which is a lot more difficult to run. Now, this whole area right here usually does not have a lot of pallets. It's got one there, and one there in this case. But you'll notice that all of these pallets are kind of bad. What I mean by that is these rocks that you can run around are very short. Now, that means that if you are running here, the killer does not have a lot of distance on you by default. Because if you are here, then the killer is right over there. If you're running this way, and the killer is following you, they might just turn around, moonwalk, and hit you, and you don't really have a lot of time to react, because this area is very short. This rock over here, it's a very tall rock. The killer can easily mind game this because you cannot see what they are doing because the rock is so high. Now you've got this other side, which is a bit longer. The projectile killer, like a huntress, can just shoot right over it. And in this case, you got another one of these rocks over here. This is a bit less high, but still high enough that it can easily get you downed on shorter killers like Chucky or Sadako. And this side over here, which is just short. And you've got Shack over here. Now this Shack plays out kind of the same like every other Shack from this realm. You've got a window over here. And you've got a broken window over here with just a small enough gap that you can look through. Now careful, as with any killer Shack, hooks might spawn at the corners. And if you're not paying attention, you might run into them trying to see what the killer is doing. Get stuck, get hit. Now, the outside area is going to have a lot more of these kinds of pallets, which are quite short and very unsafe. You might also get some other tiles like this one. This is a Longwood Gym, I believe. The ideal way to run this is vaulted like this. And run it like this. Now this is very dependent on what the killer does. If the killer goes this way, obviously it's better to play it the way I just did. But if you vault the window and you see the killer going that way, well, you just get hit if you run this way, don't you? So what you're gonna do if the killer does that is you can come right around here and either greet this pallet or you can drop it. Now, you might have other tiles that spawn here. You might have a 4-lane. You might have any other gym. There's plenty of tutorials on how to run those out there. I'm not going to go over them too much in detail. Now, you've got a couple of these double pallet tiles that have not been in the game for very long, but I do really like them. On their own, they are very dangerous, right? Because this is a very short distance. But as soon as you pre-drop one of the two pallets, now you have a long distance to go around. And you can really see what the killer does and react to it in time. And say you're running it the other way, which is the better way. You can vault the window, the pallet, and the killer has to go all the way around. Now, in most cases, they're going to try and break this pallet pretty soon. In which case, you can either choose to play this very unsafe singular pallet, or you have time enough to make it to a safer loop, like this one. This one, however, is a lot more safe than the other one, because you've got this area right here, which is already kind of a safe loop. You can make figure 8s on it, so the killer cannot really mind game you all that much. And then beside that, you also got this long table. Now again, if you pre-drop one of these, all of a sudden the loop gets extended by quite a lot. I would kind of recommend dropping the other one actually. Because now you've got this long tile that you can walk around, keep a lot of distance from the killer. And if it ever does hit the fan, you can vault the pallet, turn around, and loop it like this. Over here you got another tile spawn. Looks like this is another gym. The ideal way to run this is like this. But oftentimes the killer is gonna not allow you to do that. Because they might try and while you run like this, they might follow you. And then when you go for the window, they might go like that and cut you off here. In which case, you have the option to go back around, either vault the window again, or play the pallet. and greet the pallet sometimes and make it to the window once more. Over here you got more of these filler pallets. Looks like we got quite a good setup over here with a lot of these double pallet tiles. You can have another tile spawn right here, another gym, and then some more filler tiles. Now back here you have this dumpster area. I've had some pallets spawn over here, in which case you've got quite a fun loop. It's not very safe, but it is very fun. Especially because if the killer is chasing you like this, and they do cut you off that way, now all of a sudden you don't have to walk all the way back here, but you can play the garbage area over here. As I say, they do follow you around, and you have enough distance because they mind game themselves. You can move over here. Now you're playing this pallet. Say at one point you drop it, and the killer decides to break it. Now you have enough distance to make it to the Ballpit. And that's how you play the Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria map.